Well, the debate seemed like a good opportunity to raise this subject because if the hemicycle is going to be fixed, then under the EU's own rules you'd expect them to go out to tender across Europe. But of course the problem's been going on, as you say, for nearly 2 years now. The hemicycle, which was only used for mini sessions of the Parliament anyway, a few times a year, was closed in September 2012 because cracks were discovered in the roof. But it's still closed now, all of the 16 months later. Of course, apparently they've had trouble finding a builder that will give them the 10-year guarantees that they want. Well, that makes you wonder if there's some, fundamental flaws in the design of the building, but that's another matter. But I wanted to make the point that some of us are a bit suspicious that in actual fact it's been kept closed now until practically the end of the term of this 5-year Parliament, because there's a big debate here and there's a big debate in Europe about why we meet in 2 different places, Brussels and Strasbourg, and I think the cost of coming here is something like 150 million euros a year, something astronomical, of moving us all here from Brussels every month, moving all the stuff back again, all the costs of travel and accommodation. And a lot of people, as I say, like me, are suspicious that it was deliberately taken out of action, or this was a good opportunity to take it out of action, because then they could say, well, we can't meet in Brussels anyway, so we've got to keep coming to Strasbourg. But of course the whole thing's going to be opened up again when the new Parliament is elected in May. So I had a joke with a French MEP on the way out, because he said, well, normally I agree with you, but I've got to disagree in that. I said, I understand, I said, because I always say that the only people who actually want to come here are French MEPs and Germans who live on the border, because it's very inconvenient for everybody else. But I think, yeah, there's a tremendous lobby. I mean, I would say that it's probably one of the few things that a majority of MEPs here can agree on, whatever party they come from, is they don't want to come to Strasbourg. Not because we've got anything against Strasbourg, it's a lovely place, but coming here every month is tremendously expensive, tremendously inconvenient. We've got bigger offices in Brussels, all the paperwork has to be moved here, moved back again, so we'd rather do the work, if we have to come at all, in Brussels. And of course the Chamber is big enough to hold us all, but it's now out of action, been that way for nearly 18 months. So I think, yeah, but of course as everybody, or they may not know, so I'll tell them, it's in the treaty on European Union that we have to meet on French soil 12 sessions every year, and so we come here whether there's any real work to do or not. Now if you look at the agenda this week, there's not much legislative voting. Most of it is own initiative, hot air reports from MEPs, and we're supposed to be here twice in February in order to get the requisite number of meetings in a year. So what are we going to be debating in February, that takes 2 trips here in 1 month? But it has to be done because it's in the treaty, so we have to do it. And the French could very easily change this. In fact, when Monsieur Hollande came here a few months ago, one MEP asked him, like, can you do something about this and relent and get the treaty changed and allow us to go to Brussels? And he said, oh no. He said, it's part of the culture of the European Union and it's part of the identity of the EU, and we have to keep doing it. So I don't think there's much chance of getting the French to agree to take it out of the treaty. It's not very good design when you consider that the Pantheon has been up for 2,000 years and St. Peter's in Rome has been up for 500 years. And they build it. How long has it been up? 20 years maybe, and now it's starting to crack and fall down. So maybe there's an inherent design fault with the Chamber in the same way that there's a fundamental design fault with the European Union itself. But if it's that serious, then we shouldn't be going back in April either, should we? So, well, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I didn't get time to make that particular joke in there, but yeah, I think it's symptomatic of the fundamental design faults in the whole project, not just in the politics, but in the buildings as well. And don't forget, we had a problem with the roof here a couple of years ago. The stuff was falling off the roof here, but of course they had to repair this one pretty quick because we've got to come here 12 times a year.